This section will be about how to add VAT codes into your system. You'll have to go to Settings, VAT codes. And first of all, you will have to choose the company that you would like to set up your VAT codes for. You will see here that I chose company 2000, which doesn't have any VAT code set up at the moment. You can use our generic VAT codes. If you want to do so, you just click on import your generic VAT codes and it will import all of them. But in the majority of the cases, you will have your own VAT code set up in your ERP system, and you would want our system reflect the same. Therefore, you will click on Add your VAT code. You will see a separate window pop up. First of all, you will have to fill in the first part of the window that you can see here. So you tell the system what the VAT code is named. Then you select the company that you want to set up the VAT code for. Then you select the country that you want the VAT code to be set up for. Then you set a start date. So start date is important for two reasons. One is if you upload data that is before so the transaction date of that transaction is before the start date, then it will run on error saying that that VAT code wasn't valid or available at that time, so it will not be able to map it to your VAT return. And second of all, it's important because of the VAT rate. Let me show you an example. If I change the country to the Netherlands and leave the start date on 2018, 1st of January, you can see here that as soon as I put in any date under start date, you will be able to click on View Rates. So click on View Rates, and you will see that a window will pop up telling me every rate that was available on the 1st of January 2018 for the Netherlands. So you can see that the reduced rate at that time was 6%. And of course, the standard rate was 21%. Now, if I change the year to 2019, then click on View Rate, you can see that the reduced rate moved to 9%, rate to 9% in the Netherlands. Therefore, if you're using reduced rates, for example, in the Netherlands, then you will have to either create a separate code starting from the 1st of January 2019 to accommodate the change, or you can put an end date to your earlier VAT code that was set up for reduced rates and set up the same one with the new starting date. Otherwise, the VAT codes always have to be unique under one company. All right, so let's go back to the UK. Deductible percentage, this has to be filled out regardless if it's a sales or a purchase transaction. If it's a sales transaction, just simply put in 100. It will not interfere with anything. And if it's a purchase transaction, put in the deductible VAT percentage. So if you have partial deduction, like let's say 50%, then you just put in 50%, and then the system will be able to recognize and do cross checks if you are actually deducting the correct amount. Now the last one on this side is main VAT code. Main VAT code will be selected by default for everything because this is used in the majority of the cases. Second line VAT code, this is created automatically by the system in case your established country is one of those countries where the global turnover needs to be reported in the established country's return as well. For example, Belgium or Switzerland or Finland. So in case in your company setup you put an address or you put a country that is one of the 7 countries that have this rule, then the system will create a second line VAT code with the same VAT code with the same setup, except it will change the country to the establishment country, and it will map your transaction in that country as well. And third line VAT code is only used for distance sales in case you breached the distance selling threshold in the arrival country. In some countries, you will still have to report the taxable basis in the dispatch country. And in those cases, this is when you will use third line VAT code and set the VAT code up for the dispatch country as well, so it can map it into that country's VAT return. alongside the arrival country's VAT return. On the right-hand side, you don't have to fill out anything. The only thing that might come in handy is the extra reports. So you can put in here any description of the VAT code that you're setting up. So I'm just going to put in domestic sales subject to standard rate, make it easy. Now, the next thing you have to do is scroll down to search the Avalara directory. So here you will have to give or choose details about the VAT code that you're about to set up. So you can see that I'm going to set up a domestic sales subject to standard rate, so the flow will be sales. As soon as I choose something, you can see that it will, all the sales transaction IDs will appear that is available within the system. So this is going to be a very long list. So that is why it makes your life easier to narrow down the selection, so you'll be able to find what you're looking for. So let's go to the second one, document type. I know I'm just looking for an invoice, therefore I chose invoice, and then it already narrows the list down. Of course, it's still pretty long. Now the next one is transaction type. I'm trying to set up a domestic sales transaction. So here L says local supply and import. So that means local sales and local purchases with VAT. So I'm going to choose this. You can see that it already narrowed down significantly, so I don't have to scroll that much among the transaction IDs. And then the VAT rate. I'm going to choose standard VAT rate. So now you can see that the list it's much shorter, and I already can see based on the description that what I'm looking for is here. So you can see that the description here says supply domestic standard rate trade goods. So I'm going to choose this. But before I do so, a little explanation on the right-hand side. So you can either choose the type of goods if you want, and it will narrow it down for you even more. And you will be able to select if the supplier is established or not established, and also if the tax due is in the country, tax due in country tax code, tax not due in and you will also be able to choose a country as well. But keep in mind that the system will allocate a VAT rate based on the country that you set up already here. So these are only true when there is a very, very specific regime or something that is only true for that specific country. That's when you should be selecting your country. Otherwise, it will filter on something very specific, and you will not find the transaction ID that you're looking for. Now, if you found what you're looking for, you just scroll down to the bottom and click on Save. As soon as you did that, a line will appear with the VAT code that you just set up. You can see on the right-hand side, you have three options. One is details, then delete, then duplicate. You can delete the VAT code, of course, anytime you want. You can duplicate it if necessary, if you have another VAT code with exactly the same parameters, except the VAT code obviously is different, but you have to be sure that you can only duplicate a VAT code if it's in the same country with the same VAT rate. Otherwise, it's not going to map correctly. And finally, details. If you click on details, a little window will pop up showing all the information that the system set automatically based on the transaction ID. So you can see here, if I scroll over the VAT reporting transaction ID, it will again give me the description that we just saw when setting up the VAT code. And if I click on simulate next to VAT code, it will open the VAT code simulator, which you can reach from outside as well under settings, and it will show me where this particular VAT code was mapped within the VAT return of the country that I set it up for. So in this case, GB, I can see that the taxable basis is going to go in box 6 for invoices and the VAT in box 1. And for credit notes, it's going to go as a negative amount in box 6 for taxable basis and negative amount in box 1 for VAT. Now, if we scroll through a little bit and check the information that you can see here, you can see that the VAT rate has been chosen based on what the transaction ID has connected to it. So standard rate in the UK is 20%. You can see that the deductibility, if you would have a purchase transaction, this is where you would have to set the deductibility if you chose the wrong percentage when you set up your VAT code. In case you won't use a VAT code anymore, this is where you can add an end date, as well as if VAT rate changes from 1 year to another, and you want to use the same VAT code, then first of all you have to end one of them and create a new one with a new start date, starting after the end date of this date. And on the right hand side, you will be able to see the extra reports. This is what you added as a comment, and the reporting date. So the reporting date by default is set to transaction date, but you can change this to invoice date, VAT date, or invoice receipt date, depending on how you would want the transaction to be reported and how you want it to, in which period you want the invoice to appear in. And clearing date, this is only for cash accounting transactions.